All right, guys, today we are going to talk about probably the greatest Elimination Chamber PLE premium live event in WWE history. And we're going to talk about what was probably a top three moment, if not the top moment in the history of professional wrestling. I think it's easily top three because we never thought it was going to happen. We were told for almost 2 decades that it was impossible, not only by the man himself, but by the guy who ran the company. He has granted the most Make a Wish wishes in the history of Make a Wish. He has been the poster child for all things good and respect and love in the history of professional wrestling. But it happened. John Cena turned heel last night at the Elimination Chamber, joining forces with The Rock as a corporate heel in his final run in WWE. So where do you want to start? I mean, there were a lot of other great things that happened last night too, but obviously John Cena joining forces with The Rock and turning heel on Cody Rhodes last night, what we talked about for the next year, the next 5 years, the next 10 years, the next 20 years. It'll go down as one of the top moments, if not the biggest heel turn in the history of professional wrestling. Randy Orton returned last night after probably one of the most gruesome matches you'll ever witness in pro wrestling between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. We witnessed Jade Cargill's return at the Women's Elimination Chamber match to kickstart the show in Toronto. We witnessed Cody Rhodes drop an uncensored F-bomb on WWE television for the first time in a long time, if not ever. I know The Rock did it, but they censored it on TV on USA when Raw was on USA. This one was not censored by Peacock or the WWE on their streaming services. Made for one of the more impactful moments in the history of pro wrestling in its own right. Let's start with the unsanctioned match. We kind of knew when Kevin Owens hit the pop-up pile driver on Sami Zayn about a month ago on Raw that it was probably going to lead to either a WrestleMania match between Owens and Zayn because, like, the fight forever mantra that the two have is real. That's obviously a WrestleMania-worthy match with Kevin Owens as the heel, Sami Zayn as the babyface. Then, obviously, their history writes itself over 25 years of history there, both in their personal and professional lives. But we got to see the match in their homeland of Canada, not their home town. Obviously, Montreal, Quebec, Canada is where they originated from. This one was in Toronto, Ontario, but still lived up to the hype. It was an unsanctioned match between the two. The end result is what we kind of suspected. It was going to be a gruesome fight. It was probably way more gruesome than we ever thought it was going to be. Kevin Owens taking the barbed wire to the eye at one point. Sami Zayn going through multiple tables. Kevin Owens going through multiple tables. Kevin Owens hitting vicious powerbomb after powerbomb after powerbomb on the apron, with Sami Zayn beautifully selling the neck injury that he acquired from Kevin Owens about a month ago with that pop-up pile driver. And then obviously the end result is something that we suspected because we knew if that match was going to happen at the Elimination Chamber event, we were probably going to get the match that we now suspect is going to happen at WrestleMania. Kevin Owens beating Sami Zayn in the unsanctioned match, only for Randy Orton to make his return to WWE television for the first time in nearly 4 months. He got taken out in November by Kevin Owens with a pop-up pile driver. Randy Orton's neck and back issues, obviously, historically known as well. Randy Orton missed 18 months of his career between 2022 and 2023 with back surgery. But Randy Orton returned jacked as ever. I mean, he returned jacked as ever at Survivor Series in 2023. This is probably the best shape Randy Orton's ever been in his entire life. He credits half of it to Nutella. I'm eating a ton of Nutella. I can assure you that it is not Nutella. But Randy Orton returns in the best shape of his career, and will probably face Kevin Owens at WrestleMania in some form or fashion. Hopefully it's not just a normal one-on-one match, given that Kevin Owens is as vicious as he's ever been. Randy Orton almost looked like shades of 2009 Randy Orton, given that he's basically bald and he was about to hit the punt on Kevin Owens before security intervened. I think we're going to get some sort of a face '09 version of Randy Orton versus the heel, most vicious version of KO that we've ever seen at WrestleMania. Who knows? Could it be no holds barred? I feel like that's too basic. Could it be Hell in a Cell? I think Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens in a Hell in a Cell match on top of a card that is going to have a heel John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, probably most likely a triple threat match between CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins, as well as Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair, probably Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. The list is going to go on and on and on for the matches that we're going to see. What a great match to potentially kick off WrestleMania. A Hell in a Cell match between Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Both of them are going to be chomping at the bit to beat the absolute living hell out of each other. I think that'll make for a great semi-main event that will not main event the show, besides, Jey Uso and Gunther for the world title, possibly Braun Breaker versus AJ Styles versus Finn Balor, potentially for the Intercontinental Championship. There's going to be a lot of great underlying matches. I think we're probably going to see Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest, given that Damian Priest eliminated Drew McIntyre from the Royal Rumble, as well as eliminating him from the Elimination Chamber. And then Drew McIntyre, after getting eliminated, screwing Damian Priest with the Claymore kick, allowing Logan Paul to pin him. We've seen in the last few weeks CM Punk and Logan Paul kind of getting, in each other's crosshairs a little bit. Logan Paul with the slap on Raw, CM Punk getting his revenge at the Elimination Chamber with the slap and the go to sleep eliminating Logan Paul. So I think CM Punk versus Logan Paul in that feud kind of is a white hot feud that we'll probably see in the early spring, potentially in the summer, which I'm all for. I'm glad that Logan Paul didn't come back and screw CM Punk in the chamber like he's done in the past few years with Seth Rollins and Randy Orton, leading to those matches, because I didn't think CM Punk versus Logan Paul should have been a WrestleMania match this year, given that match most likely would not main event the show. I know WWE's big on Logan Paul having a marquee match because of the amount of followers and the attention that he brings to the WWE audience, but I don't think he deserves a huge WrestleMania match this year, given that he kind of just showed back up in the storylines within the last few weeks. CM Punk is most likely, now that we've seen the end result of the men's Elimination Chamber match, most likely going on to feud with both Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, only because CM Punk eliminated Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins from the Royal Rumble match. Also, Seth Rollins was eliminated by CM Punk in the Elimination Chamber match. It also lost to him on January 6th on the Raw debut on Netflix. And Seth Rollins curb stomped CM Punk to screw him against John Cena, as they were the final two in the men's Elimination Chamber match, giving John Cena the advantage there to win the men's Elimination Chamber match. It's only fitting that Seth Rollins and CM Punk go on to WrestleMania with Roman Reigns most likely added, given Seth Rollins put Roman Reigns on the shelf this past month after his savage attack on him at the Royal Rumble. We'll see how that kind of intervenes over Raw and SmackDown over the next few weeks. I believe Roman Reigns is returning to SmackDown this Friday night, with CM Punk and Seth Rollins set to continue their feud on Raw. It'll be interesting to see how they build that out, given that CM Punk has a favor from Paul Heyman that will probably get intervened. I think that favor is obviously going to lead to a Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk match. I believe, and I think this is what a lot of people believe, is that it's going to be Roman Reigns gunning for Seth Rollins because he took him out of action for the last month, and that we're going to get a confirmed Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns WrestleMania match with CM Punk's favor from Paul Heyman to be added into that match, making it a triple threat between Punk, Reigns, and Rollins. And that star power alone makes that a night one WrestleMania main event, especially because it's probably going to be one hell of a build over the next 6 weeks leading into Las Vegas on April 19th and April 20th. I think CM Punk, mic skills wise, is going to be able to build it. Roman Reigns is a 9-time WrestleMania main eventer. I think this will be his 10th. So at this stage in his career, given that he went on that 4-year run, 1,316 days as the undisputed Universal Champion, I don't see Roman Reigns not main eventing WrestleMania at this point in his career. I think we're seeing Roman. I think we're seeing Punk. I think we're seeing Seth in some sort of an epic version of a triple threat match in the main event of WrestleMania. We'll see Jey Uso versus Gunther for the world title as a semi-main event. Jey Uso beating Gunther with everybody yeeting inside Allegiant Stadium will be a WrestleMania moment in its own right. So it won't be a technical main event, but it's going to be a semi-main event and a moment that everybody remembers forever when Jey Uso probably beats Gunther for the world title. If he doesn't, then I think you just kill everything that Jey Uso built for himself. And then in the main event of WrestleMania Night 2, We're going to see something we've never seen before. I'm very interested and anxious to see how they pull this off, how John Cena is able to develop a character. We saw it with The Rock last year. The Rock was coming back for a nostalgia act to face his cousin Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania 40 for the WWE title, and they had to pivot because of the We Want Cody movement. And then The Rock became a character that we never thought we would see. It's kind of the third leg of his career, as opposed to him just coming back for a nostalgia act as the People's Champion. He created the final boss heel character that's lived on to right now as he teams with now John Cena and apparently Travis Scott, given that all three of them are going to be this heel faction, apparently against Cody Rhodes leading into WrestleMania 41. So let's dissect that a little bit. We'll go back into the men's Elimination Chamber match because there was a ton of great moments. John Cena and CM Punk kind of going one-on-one there for about 10 minutes was cinema after nearly 15 years of not seeing that in the ring. But John Cena wins the Elimination Chamber match after Seth Rollins screws CM Punk with the curb stomp after he was eliminated. And then John Cena celebrating as the biggest babyface, the 16-time World Heavyweight Champion, the franchise, the face of the company, the greatest of all time, is going on to face Cody Rhodes, presumably at the time in a babyface versus babyface, the two biggest babyfaces potentially in WWE history for the WWE title, with John Cena chasing his 17th world title. They kind of had a friendly face-off before The Rock's music hit. Travis Scott, obviously, Fiend is the official theme song of WrestleMania, has been for the last year. The Rock comes out in his final boss attire, not necessarily in his Versace gear that we've seen over the past few weeks, his Versace vests over the last year. This was more so final boss attire that we saw in the main event of WrestleMania 40 last year, in the main event between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. So you knew that The Rock, this was going to be a big deal. You know, The Rock was coming out to get an answer from Cody Rhodes. The Rock wanted Cody Rhodes' soul. Last week on SmackDown, when they had that segment, a lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people didn't get it. It took a lot of people a lot of time to digest and process what that meant. There were rumblings that potentially someone else was going to take The Rock up on that offer, potentially Drew McIntyre, potentially CM Punk if they won the men's Elimination Chamber match. When Cena won it, I'm thinking, all right, John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, that's a feel-good main event in the main event of John Cena's final WrestleMania, going after his 17th world title against the biggest babyface WWE has had since Hulk Hogan, really, in Cody Rhodes. So The Rock, Travis Scott, Cody Rhodes, John Cena, all in the ring at the same time after John Cena wins the chamber match to confirm that main event between Rhodes and Cena. Now, this is where it gets interesting because you don't really know what's going to happen. I presumed at that time that buildup was way too fast for Cody Rhodes to just turn heel out of nowhere. But you knew something was going to happen because at that point, you're like, Cody Rhodes is wearing a black suit. The Rock's wearing his black Versace vest. Maybe that's, the tell right there that they're coming out and teaming together against John Cena at his final WrestleMania. At that point in time, you knew it wasn't going to be face versus face. Someone was turning heel. Cody Rhodes has been a heel before. That one kind of made more sense. Everybody's kind of been clamoring for the Homelander version of Cody for quite some time. But The Rock asked Cody Rhodes, basically, he gave him the ultimatum. Join me and the American Nightmare will live on forever. If the answer is no, the dream dies tonight again. Cody Rhodes, in a profound way, told The Rock that his soul has not belonged to him for a long time because it's belonged to the ring and it's belonged to the fans for, a long time. He basically kind of teased the heel turn by saying, I want it all, Rock. My soul no longer belongs to me, and that's because my soul has belonged to this ring and these people for a long time. And then the moment that I think will live on forever, just because WWE and as well as, Fox in the past, as well as USA in the past, and even Netflix, they censor a lot of things. Like even holy shit chants from the crowd have been censored on USA Network and on Fox. It's been frustrating. This was a moment that'll live on forever and will be a meme forever because the Rock's waiting for an answer and Cody Rhodes just goes, hey, Rock, go fuck yourself. Not censored at all. Even on WWE social media, they didn't censor it. On WWE's YouTube, it is not censored. The crowd in Toronto goes absolutely berserk for it. John Cena's jumping up and down like a little kid, like all of us, were watching at home and watching in the Rogers Center in the Toronto Blue Jays baseball stadium. Just told The Rock to go fuck himself. The final boss, the head of the board at WWE, the guy who owns the WWE, told him to go fuck himself with no censorship at all. One of the greatest moments I've ever witnessed in WWE history in the modern era. John Cena, at that point, like, the dude's been a babyface for 22 years, I believe. He was the doctor of thugonomics when he first broke into the WWE, was a heel then. That really doesn't count because of like the Super Cena run, the Make-A-Wish John Cena, like the franchise star of the WWE. That version of John Cena has never been a heel. He's never been a bad guy. And for all the right reasons. The biggest reason, I think, because he was the most requested Make-A-Wish Foundation celebrity, and he's granted the most wishes in the history of the WWE. He's just been the squeaky clean good guy. And in his run as, Super Cena between 2010 and 2014, 15, that era of John Cena, when they kind of had a lot of moments that they could have turned him heel, they never did because of bigger reasons, bigger business reasons like that. Vince never turned him heel. I don't think he ever wanted to turn him heel. I don't think John Cena ever thought about turning heel. He did his interview with Chris Van Vliet last year where he talked about already having like the ring gear designed, the new theme song designed, potentially after his match with The Rock at WrestleMania 28 and losing and kind of spiraling that year in 2012, 2013, potentially turning heel then. But they didn't do it. So this was a moment in which, after Cody Rhodes told The Rock to go fuck himself, the crowd's going crazy. John Cena's going crazy. And then the John Cena goes in for, the bro hug with Cody Rhodes. And in that moment, the way they were centered, Cody's back was turned to The Rock. John Cena embraces Cody Rhodes, and now he's looking directly at The Rock. And in that moment, I was like, they're doing it. They're actually doing it. Paul, Triple H, Levesque pulled the trigger. Nobody within WWE brass knew besides Cena, Rock, Paul, potentially Michael Hayes, potentially Nick Khan. Like, they kept it close to the vest. But John Cena has the angry look on his face. The Rock with the cutthroat, slit throat, kill him, Cena, kill Cody. John Cena embraces Cody Rhodes, and then after the bro hug, kicks him right in the balls. One of the most shocking moments, if not the most shocking moment in modern day WWE and pro wrestling history, with John Cena aligning himself with the final boss, selling his soul to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and turning heel for the first time in 22 years in WWE. That was a moment that'll stand the test of time for 20, 30, 40 years in the history of WWE. It's right up there with Hulk Hogan turning heel in WCW at Bash at the Beach as the third tag team partner. It's right up there with Shawn Michaels' heel. I think it's the greatest heel turn in the history of professional wrestling. We're getting John Cena versus Cody Rhodes in the main event of WrestleMania, with John Cena chasing his 17th World Heavyweight Championship as a heel in his final WrestleMania. We're seeing a heel John Cena in his final run in WWE over the course of the next 10 months. Who knows? Maybe he extends it. A heel John Cena, a corporate John Cena, he can do whatever the hell he wants. He could probably just say, I'm not retiring. And then they go on another maybe two-year run with this for John Cena. You really don't know what he's going to do. We really don't know what we're going to see because we've never thought it was actually going to happen. We've never really were able to kind of predict what John Cena would look like as a heel because it was just always a hypothetical. Now it's reality. One of the most vicious heel assaults we'll ever see on one of the top baby faces WWE has ever had, and it came from the top baby face that we never thought we would ever see turn heel. The franchise, the 16-time world champion, the greatest of all time, John Cena, turns heel in a matter of 24 months, ladies and gentlemen. The American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, has not only turned Dwayne Johnson heel, which we never thought we would see, and become the final boss character, but he's made the franchise star, John Cena, the 16-time world champion, the greatest of all time, the most Make-A-Wish Foundation grantor in the history of Make-A-Wish, turn heel and become a bad guy in 2025. I can't wait to see what's next. Is John Cena going to go on just a tyrant run over the next year? Will he turn babyface towards the end of his run? We don't know what we're going to see. I'm very excited to see. The road to WrestleMania has never been hotter in 2025. WrestleMania 41 is going to be one for the books. We'll go into deeper kind of predictions and hypotheticals, and we'll speculate wildly over the next 6 weeks as to what we're going to see here as John Cena becomes the corporate heel version of himself that we never thought we would see.